Today's live NFL Daily is presented by Manscaped. You can get 20% off and free shipping all of their top-of-the-line men's grooming products, including the Ultra Premium Package, as you see in my hands, and the fancy little graphic below me, at manscaped.com/chat. We're live on Facebook, live on YouTube, live on Rumble, so we'll make sure everyone has a chance to click that notification and tune in live here. Our pinned poll of the day. Grade the signing of Tyrann Mathieu. We now know the details, by the way. 3 years, $33 million, $18 million of that guaranteed. A bit of a larger than I think most expected contract there for the Honey Badger going home to New Orleans. A, B, C, D, or F. I'll give some shout-outs here in the comment section. Juicy says, how is it an A? Those Saints fans hitting the A. Saints fans definitely going to type in A. Other teams? Maybe not so much. John says A. It's Tyrann Mathieu to the Saints, by the way. A for the Saints from Matt Productions. Ralph says F. A from Juan Hernandez, Kevin McFlurry. B from Carlos. B from Juan. A from John. Maddox is spamming Rise Up because he's a Falcons fan. Nick says A. He's a Cowboys fan. B from Jason. B from Mark. B from Joe Mama. A from Kyle Donovan, Sammy Silver. David's glad his Chiefs let him go. F on that one. Wow. Seth says A+, wanted him bad in Philadelphia. A from Scuff Sports. B+ from Nolan Madness. Jason says N, who cares? It is NFL Daily. This is one of the top available free agents. Kind of a big deal. C from Alvin Ponder. B+ from Nolan Madness. A from Cameron Christie as well. Keep those votes coming as we get to our next question of the day. Where will Baker Mayfield play in 2022? There were Browns-Panthers trade conversations. Those ended up kind of falling apart during the NFL draft. The Panthers also did take Matt Corral out of Ole Miss to add to that quarterback room. Where do you think he ends up? Two logical fits to me, Carolina and Seattle. The Seahawks did not add a QB this year, which for the record I think was mostly right because the QBs, well, they weren't very good this year, as we all saw. Carolina, Madden from Delusional Patriots fan. Is that you, Jack? No, it's not you over there? Okay. Jack is our Patriot fan. He is still down bad over their draft. Lions.
Still.
He's mad. Evan Hinders from Scuff Sports, or Evan Hinders and Scuff Sports say Lions. Seattle from Maddox. Panthers from BYG. Giants from Zernblocks. Dolphins from David Fitty. I don't think Dolphins, because they added Teddy and have Tua, and drafted our Will Scott's boy, Skylar Thompson. Seahawks, Dolphins, and Seattle in there. So keep those votes coming where you think Baker will play in 2022. As part of today's NFL Live, we've got the top NFL free agents left, and I am hoping that nobody signs in between when we film it and when it goes up on demand Tuesday morning. If it does, we were predictive or something. I don't know. Best NFL free agent left. Who is it? Let me know in the comments. I'll give some shout-outs here. Jadeveon Clowney is the first one I saw from Dusty Rhodes, Clowney or JPP from Timothy. I worry about the medical for JPP. He was not the same guy as past year. Kyle Van Noy from Juan Hernandez. OBJ from Zernblocks. Clowney. John Kruger in there. Fitzmagic from Jim Panson. I didn't put him in there because I kind of don't know if he's going to play again. Earl Thomas from the Past Master. There we go. Seahawks, or that was an earlier one. Odell from John Garcia. It was with the Saints. I'm going to edit. I can't edit the poll. Well, it is what it is then. Julio Jones from Cameron Christie. Jacob's NFL channel says Julio. Julio from Dave Askew. Justin Ross. So he signed. Chiefs picked him up as a UDFA. I guess they cleared his medical. Thank goodness. Melvin Ingram from David Fitty. I like that one in there. Julio for the teaching. Julio from Scuff Sports. Anthony Barr is in there too. Clowney from Jacob Raleigh. Past Masters having fun with us with the Earl Thomas stuff, by the way, Jack. Don't feel too bad there. Will Fuller from Evan Hinders. Okay. I see OK Wright. Do you mean KJ Wright? Not sure. Julio back to Atlanta from Scuff Sports. We'll talk about Julio on today's show, I promise you. Keep watching, my friend. James Bradbury, trade, unless he's been cut in the past 10 minutes, which I'm unaware of. But trade, as a trade target, yeah, he's definitely available from that standpoint there. Interesting. Some buzz that the Texans are going to trade Lonnie Johnson And the Chiefs are a strong destination for Aaron Wilson of Pro Football Network. That's fascinating. And we got a Dez Bryant in there too, plus Big Nick Foles. I know what word you're leaving out. It's fun. Who won the NFL draft this year? What team do you guys think, and bonus points if you're not being a homer with it, crushed the draft more than anyone else? Producer Jack's our Patriots fan. He hates their draft more than anyone's in the entire NFL. He's down.
True.
He's down about as bad as I've ever seen him down.
Really, really bad. Really bad.
Kansas City, Cowboys, Saints, Patriots, Falcons, Jets, Ravens, Giants, Falcons, Baltimore, Jets, Ravens, Panthers, Ravens, Falcons, Jets or Giants, Jets, Falcons, Ravens, Giants, Jets, Falcons, Jets. I'm a Bills fan, though. Appreciate the honesty there, Nolan Madness. Jets as a Saints fans, Giants, Jets, Falcons, Giants, Falcons or Ravens, Panthers, Falcons, Steelers, Ravens, Falcons, Commanders, Eagles, Giants, Packers, 69ers, Saints, Falcons. Unfortunately, the Jets from our Bills fan, Jason N. Patriots had a bad draft. Ravens had a good one from Joe Mama. Eagles, Falcons, Chiefs, Bengals from A.J. Nichols, who is a Bengals fan, of course. Commanders, Chiefs, Falcons, Bengals, Ravens, Chiefs, Giants. And then Fried Rice also spamming free Hopkins. We will talk about DeAndre Hopkins here in just a little bit, but it is the days after this year's draft. So I want you guys to shout out your favorite team and then grade their draft. So two-part ask. So if you're a Chiefs fan, like Tristan Stroud appears to be, Chiefs, grade. And I'll give specific shout-outs as these begin to flow in. Jack, Patriots get an
Z.
A Z. Wow, below an F. Man, you're really hurt about it. I'm sorry, buddy. I'll stop bringing it up. Cowboys C+, Bills B, Giants A+, Chiefs A+, Chiefs A, Giants A+, Bucks C, Vikings B-, Jets A+, Cardinals B, Jags B, Falcons B+, Chargers A+, Steelers F from, well, that's not your team though, AJ. Good try. You did get me, I guess, in the end. Panthers A, Bills B+, Chiefs A, Lions A-, Bears B-, Steelers B-, Titans B+, Jags B+. Zebra's going to go with a C for now with, yes, you are describing how draft grades work. Raiders B+. Let's see, I got Bears C+, Cowboys B+, Vikings A-, Niners C. At the end of today's live show, we're going to break down Mel Kiper's draft grades on Rumble only. Make sure you guys are following us on Rumble. That will be our after-hours segment here for NFL Daily. Spoiler alert, Mel Kiper is a coward in his draft grades. I'll explain what I mean later on in today's show. If you are ready for us to get going, like the video right now. We have over 400 people watching live right now here on NFL Daily, and only 44 likes. That's brutal figures on that. Let's get that changed here. Like the video right now. We'll get this show going. A fun one, a little bit earlier than normal here on Monday due to some scheduling adjustments we're making. Get everything done here today at Chat Sports. Here's what's coming up live on NFL Daily. News and rumors. There's suspensions, contracts being signed, a lot going on in the chaos in the days following the 2022 NFL Draft. Not one, but two NFL mailbags. There are two ways to get on the show. Number one is to use hashtag NFL. You can get your questions in right now. You don't need to spam them. Producer Jack gets mad when you're spamming. If you super chat, however, we'll jump you to the front of the line, get you on the show. Otherwise, you're kind of at the mercy of Producer Jack picking your question in the end. We'll also break down the top free agents left on the open market, a very long list we're going to run through, and on Rumble only in NFL Daily After Hours, Mel Kiper's cowardly NFL draft grades. All coming up live right now. Welcome into NFL Daily, presented today by Manscaped. I am Tom Downey, here to break down everything going on around the NFL. There is a lot going on, and we appreciate Manscaped being today's presenting sponsor. Manscaped.com/chat gets you 20% off and free shipping. The big news of the day, which overshadowed the other big news of the day, we'll get to in a minute here, DeAndre Hopkins, the Cardinals' superstar wide receiver, has been suspended 6 games by the NFL. The appeal has already been withdrawn for violating the league's performance-enhancing drug policy. So Hopkins, intentional or not, which we know how it really is because everyone says they accidentally ingested something they didn't know about, he has been suspended 6 games, the first 6 games of the 2022 NFL season. So without Nuke Hopkins, the Cardinals receiving corps now features Marquise Brown, A.J. Green, Rondale Moore. We knew they wanted another wide receiver. Maybe this was why they were so willing to go trade a first for Marquise Brown. And Antoine Wesley also on the roster. They will continue to try to shop Andy Isabella, who has had very little interest in the trade market. But Hopkins, suspended 6 games, massive fantasy implications, of course, and real-life football implications as the Cardinals are now down, I'd say, their best offensive playmaker for Kyler Murray. Give me your one-word reaction to the DeAndre Hopkins news. Sound off in the comments section. One word only, how you feel about this shocking development. The other news that happened earlier this morning, we now know the contract details of it as well. Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badgers, going home back to the New Orleans Saints. There is still some final contract language to finish up, but the deal was a 3-year, $33 million contract with $18 million guaranteed. So $11 million per year for Mathieu, more than what I thought he was going to be able to end up getting in the end. That's a big-time contract for Mathieu, for the Saints. There might be some void years tacked on there to keep that cap hit even lower than normal, but Mathieu is heading to the New Orleans Saints, $18 million guaranteed. We are at this stage, by the way, folks, at the point where signings do not impact the comp pick formula, even though it'll get eventually signed tomorrow. Or in the near days, and not been fully finalized at this point. The Honey Badger gets to go back to New Orleans. This is the Malcolm Jenkins replacement for the Saints, as this secondary did undergo some overhauling the past year. Tyrann Mathieu, Marcus May, those two are in. Malcolm Jenkins, Marcus Williams are out. It's a Marcus and a Mathieu instead of a Malcolm there in the air, a May instead of Williams, I should say. They did draft Lante Taylor as well in the second round. He'll be the number 3 corner on the outside. I'd assume Bradley Roby will eventually get dinged down to CB4. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson will keep doing some nickel corner role as a hybrid nickel safety for them, who I love, and I love his trash talk as well. Grade the signing, then, of Tyrann Mathieu. 3 years, $33 million with $18 million guaranteed. A, B, C, D, or F. I want to hear from you guys in the comments section how you grade this one. It is the pinned comment, so if the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Some rather noteworthy Falcons news went down on Monday as the starting running back, kind of, sorta, in Mike Davis has been released by the organization. This move to cut Davis comes after they drafted Tyler Algier, the running back out of BYU, on day 3, a player that I liked quite a bit, is a similar-ish usage player as Mike Davis, as the Falcons free up some much-needed cap space. They are saving $2.5 million in salary cap space by cutting Mike Davis, who had a really good year with the Carolina Panthers back in 2020 when Christian McCaffrey was banged up and decimated by injuries. Then Davis kind of got usurped by Cordero Patterson. Davis averaged a paltry 3.6 yards per carry, even at a high-ish volume of 138 carries for 5 touchdowns. That is a brutal yards per carry. We can certainly blame the offensive line, but make no mistake about it, Mike Davis was a disappointment on the ground. His best work, frankly, came as a pass catcher, and again, we can also probably blame some of the offensive line for that one there. 44 catches for 259 yards, 1 touchdown as well for Mike Davis, 5.9 yards per carry. The Falcons had kind of placed Davis in precarious territory when they were able to extend Cordero Patterson. He had been a free agent this offseason. They brought over Damian Williams, the former Bayer chief running back. He can handle some RB2 duties. Then Tyler Algier out of BYU. Again, I like quite a bit. I'll double-check my big board here and remind you guys where I had him in this year's class. But the Falcons, simply put, did not need Tyler Algier anymore at that stage. They were just too many bodies. Or the Falcons didn't need him anymore. So Davis has been cut. Algier, by the way, checked in at 122 on my board, the number 7 running back in this year's class. I think the Falcons made a very good pick in selecting him. They got him all the way down in the 5th round, number 151. So great value there. That selection directly leads to the release now of Mike Davis. So give me your one-word reaction to the cutting of Mike Davis, the former starting running back for the Atlanta Falcons. I think he'll get picked up by somebody. I don't know who that somebody will end up being in the end, but let me know. One-word reaction to cutting Mike Davis. Today's show is powered by Manscaped, and you guys can get 20% off and free shipping on all of their great products, including the Ultra Premium Collection. Manscaped.com/chat. Remember to use promo code chat to get that 20% off. Ultra Premium Collection includes the deodorant, the body spray, the body wash, the shampoo and conditioner, and the lip balm as well. Manscaped.com/chat works for the Ultra Premium Collection and every single one of their awesome products. The Lawnmower 4.0, the Performance Package, you get those awesome boxers there as well, and the Weed Whacker and also the nail trimmers are the best ones I've ever had in my life. They make it a lot easier because they actually work well. I feel like some of the other ones are, maybe I just use crappy ones and they just don't work at all. Manscapes are awesome. So get yours today. Manscaped.com/chat. Promo code chat is in the comment section and in the description. Let's move to Julio Jones and his future in the NFL. One of the best free agents left. And the rumors and the buzz and the whispers have been rather quiet around the player that was pretty much a consensus number 1, number 2, number 3 overall receiver in the entire NFL. And I think we do understand a big portion of that in the end. That is because Julio is not the player he was in his prime. The Falcons, by the way, in that trade, unquestionably won it. They acquired a 2nd-round pick for Julio Jones, and Julio lasted a singular season with the Tennessee Titans. And the numbers, by the way, very much began to regress. That pick, I believe, is one that became Troy Anderson for Atlanta, the linebacker from Montana State. 31 catches for 434 yards. You can add up the past 2 years from Julio Jones, 82 catches, barely topped 1,100 yards and 4 scores. That is less than what most of Julio Jones' career production has been. That was a colossal disappointment for the Tennessee Titans. And now he's a free agent, and the big questions are wondering, where does Julio go now? What team does he end up with? So who will sign Julio Jones? I want you guys to shoot your shot, make your predictions. I'm going to make some of my own. I got 5 teams to kind of keep an eye out for that I think could make sense. But I want to hear from you first. Who will sign Julio Jones? Let me know right now in the comments section. Let's begin with the Baltimore Ravens. They, of course, trade away Marquise Brown. Unfortunately for them, they didn't really address that replacement. They need an outside guy. You've got players like Devin Duvernay, James Prochet, who can handle your slot work there. They signed a couple UDFAs, but their number 3 right now is Devin Duvernay. I mean, I think it's probably their number 2, actually. So things are thin on that standpoint there. The New England Patriots are next up here. Yes, they did spend to much of the confusion of producer Jack, a 2nd-round pick on Tyquan Thornton and have Devontae Parker. They are seemingly always linked to Julio Jones. The Indianapolis Colts next up here. Yes, they signed Alec Pierce to be a outside vertical threat, a 2nd-round pick drafted, I should say, Alec Pierce out of Cincinnati. I like Julio Jones quite a bit because of the presence of Matt Ryan. Doesn't that make a lot of sense to pair Julio up and Matt Ryan and see if those two can capture the magic that they once had? A constantly linked to Julio Jones team, the San Francisco 49ers, especially in light of the Deebo Samuel rumors, which I don't think he's getting dealt, but they aren't really going away from that standpoint there. Jawan Jennings, Brandon Ayuk, and now Danny Gray also on the roster. But Shanahan, Julio, we know for a fact that duo has worked really, really well in the past. And finally, my wild dark horse crazy idea. What about the Atlanta Falcons? And bear with me as I explain this here, because the Falcons, yes, they drafted Drake London in round 1. That was awesome. They did not add anybody else in free agency at the receiver spot, in the draft at the receiver spot. Right now, their starters are Drake London at one outside spot, Olamide Zaccheaus in the slot, and Auden Tate, Darrell Hodge, Damiere Byrd, Frank Darby. It's still a bad receiving core in Atlanta, even for a team that's going to use a lot of 2 tight end sets with Kyle Pitts and Anthony Firkser. So if I were the Falcons, as long as the Julio Falcons relationship hasn't been nuked to the earth, which, maybe it has been, but in terms of Julio getting volume targets, Atlanta's one of the teams that needs a receiver the most, more than anybody. So I don't hate that idea all that much. We will have in a little bit here on Chat Sports the top NFL free agents left. That video will be out Tuesday. So if you haven't already, subscribe. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV. Let's talk trade rumors now. Baker Mayfield, the Browns quarterback. I was coming off the Falcons conversation there. Excuse me. The trade rumors are not done with Baker Mayfield. The Browns and Panthers had talks, and those talks inevitably fell apart, due in large part to Baker's contract. $18.8 million is a little bit on the high side, which makes things tricky from that standpoint. Now, Baker is coming off a bit of a down year, and by a bit, I mean a lot of a down year from that standpoint. 60.5%, 3,000 yards, 17 touchdowns. Where do you guys think Baker ends up playing this year? Because it's not going to be in Cleveland as a player. Maybe he's stuck in Cleveland, but I feel like they would rather pay $17 million and get a draft pick than pay $18 million and get nothing. Like, that makes a lot more sense for Cleveland. Shoot your shot. Make your predictions for me in the comments section. Now, pre-draft, these are the 5 teams linked. The Seahawks remain a viable destination. Atlanta drafting Desmond Ridder in round 3. Cross them off the list. Carolina's desperate to win now, so maybe they could still get Baker even after drafting Matt Corral. The Texans, especially if he's cut, could be a sleeper there, but they've been linked to both Jimmy G and Baker Mayfield as a dark horse destination. Pittsburgh drafted Kenny Pickett in round 1. Cross them off the list. There is not a major market right now for Baker Mayfield. Some NFL free agency tracker news here. Rasheem Green, the Texans defensive end, has been signed. One of the contract details here. Houston needs more edge rushing help. Green will provide depth there. And finally, Trai Turner, the former Steelers offensive guard, is going to the Washington Commanders. Wes Schweitzer, I believe I maybe pronounced that name correctly. He was their starter. I think Turner will compete for that job. All right, our pin poll of the day. Grade the signing of Tyrann Mathieu by the New Orleans Saints. A, B, C, D, or F. A, 49%, leading the way. 36%, or 37% just changed. Say B, 11%. Say C, 4%. Say D or F. I'm a little surprised to see that many D's and F's in there. We got 969 people watching live right now. I don't know if I got the screenshot. It just changed as I got it. But either way, it happened. That's nice. Get those comments in A, B, C, D, or F, how you feel about the signing of Tyrann Mathieu. Remember, folks, the salary cap is not real. The Saints have all the money they could ever want, and they continuously do so. Coming up next, it is mailbag time here on Chat Sports. There are 2 ways to get your questions on the show. You can either use hashtag NFL or Super Chat like Mark did earlier. We'll get to Mark's Super Chat here in a little bit. You can get your questions in now. If you're lucky, Producer Jack will pick them. If you want to guarantee to get on the show, make sure you guys end up Super Chatting. All right, NFL Daily After Hours is on Rumble, and we're going to have the Mel Kiper draft grade reaction. So make sure you guys are following us on Rumble. We'll get the link in there for you in the comment section. It's in there. It's in the live description, by the way, the link to the actual live show. We'll get that in there for you guys. Go to Rumble after today's live show wraps up, and we'll break down some Mel Kiper draft grades because I have To be blunt, Jack, I got thoughts, and you and I have talked about this pre-show. I think Mel is being an absolute coward with his grades. We'll break down what those are here in just a little bit. It's mailbag time here on Chat Sports. I am Tom Downey, answering all of your questions here live on Monday for NFL Daily. And first up, a super chat from Mark, my boy Mark. I read center J.C. Tretter from Cleveland does not practice anymore because of bad knees, and he's the NFL Players Union rep, and Jerry Jones does not want the drama around the locker room. I've heard this too. I think it was a Brian Broaddus report. He is the NFL Player Union president, and if that is a reason why you don't sign somebody because you don't want that in the locker room, I think you're kind of being dumb. Like, I get unions, and for the NFL it's a bad thing, but he's good at football, so I would still do it. Even though he wasn't practicing, he played in almost every game. So maybe you're worried long-term about that. I get it. But a one-year deal would not dissuade me from signing somebody. From John Kruger, Julio Jones to the Colts. I think it makes sense. They could still use another outside receiver. You pray that Paris Campbell is actually healthy. Pittman and Pierce are both similar sizes, not caliber of players, as Julio Jones. But I do think that you could add him to your roster, especially with the chemistry that already exists between Julio and Matt Ryan. From Kevin McFlurry, reaction to A.J. Brown going to the Eagles. I mean, I loved it for Philly. Team that, and producer Jack, who runs the writing channel, says he hates it for Tennessee. You pay him a big-time contract. I get all that. You allegedly lowballed, and then A.J. Brown highballed on his counteroffer. Whatever. He's good at football. I like to keep those guys on my roster in the end. The Eagles have not drafted receivers well beyond Devontae Smith. Now they have a really good one. Matt Productions, are the Bucs going to sign anyone else? Maybe. I think internal signings, re-signings of guys like Rob Gronkowski and Ndamukong Suh certainly make a lot of sense for the Bucs to look at to try to run it back for one more year with Brady. Cameron Christie, or maybe 12 more years for Brady given his ageless wonderness. When do you see Desmond Ridder starting? It's a good question. I think that Ritter's going to take over at some point in year one. I don't think he needs that much growth from a developmental standpoint. I know he's a smaller school player, so he's going to kind of get adjusted to that standpoint, but I think it's pretty good pre-snap processing. Falcons are probably going to be bad if we're being honest. And if you're a bad team, throw your rookie QB out there, see what he can do. So you got a feel of, okay, is this a Davis Mills situation where we give him a chance, or are we just going to take a top 5 QB and let Desmond be our long-term backup? From Coach Carter, should the Eagles re-sign Nick Foles? I actually don't hate that idea. They do, of course, already have Gardner Minshew, who I know there is the cult following of, understandably so. They did sign Carson Strong, so I will put the Eagles on my list of fits for Nick Foles because, I mean, the man's a legend in Philly forever, right? Denver could use a better backup QB. I like that one. Carolina had been linked briefly by Albert Breer, so I'll throw them in there. Seattle could use a QB. I mean, is he any worse than Geno Smith? I don't think so. And the Rams, unless they really love John Wolford, Foles would be a better backup to Matthew Stafford, I believe. Now, Foles is a backup. He's not going to start. That's why no one wanted to trade for him, right? But I want you to make some predictions right now. Who do you think the Cowboy or who do you think will end up signing Nick Foles? Let me know right now in the comments section. I peeked ahead and saw the Cowboys question from Super Chat from Nick Lanham. D.D. Westbrook or Albert Wilson to the Cowboys? Of the two, I'd probably go with Albert Wilson. I believe there's some more special teams value, but I'm looking for a punt returner at this point if I'm the Cowboys who can maybe contribute as a receiver too. From Mark, $10, thank you. What gets me is we didn't get any trade value for Coop or Collins. The money we saved with them we're not using. Why not move Collins to guard and draft Linderbaum? Our new guard is a penalized tackle who can't pass block. That's Tyler Smith, who is the new left guard from Tulsa. Left tackle, high upside, was the most penalized player in all of college football among offensive linemen last year. I love Tyler Linderbaum. That's why I praise the Ravens so much for their draft class, at least part of why I praise them so much. But they didn't invest. They didn't like Linderbaum, so they wanted Tyler Smith, it would appear. He was their top fallback option in round 1, and they allegedly had a pretty damn high grade on him, which is kind of crazy, at least to me. We are also on Rumble, my friends, and if you want uncensored videos on that platform, head over to rumble.com/NFL Daily. We'll make sure that link is in the comment section and in the description. From Jim Panson, 84, which day 3 pick do you think could have an immediate impact? So there are going to be a lot of guys on day 3 that step up and play a big-time role early. I think the first 3 picks of day 3, right? Cade Otton to the Bucks, Dameon Pierce to the Texans, Perion Winfrey, all those guys could step up sooner rather than later. Looking through my list here as well, I like Neil Farrell a lot. The Charlie Kohler pick I like. Technically, your kickers and punters can make a big impact, but I hate that. Calvin Austin to the Steelers. I really like that pickup in the 4th round as well. We mentioned Tyler Algier of the Falcons earlier in today's live show. He's a good fit as an early impact type of player. Those skill position players also often make their impact felt kind of quickly. I thought Jamari Salyer to the Chargers was a steal later on in the draft. That's another one in terms of offensive line play who could make a nice impact for you. Mark, much aloha to you and your staff, Tom, on the draft. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Y'all are as good, if not better, than all the players. How do you get so informed on all of them? To be blunt, I have no life. That's how I spend all of my free time from like December, or almost all my free time from like December through end of April doing this stuff. Like I don't even do it at work. I do it on my own time, off hours. I get maybe a couple players done at the end of my day if I'm lucky. It's a lot of time, a lot of man hours. So thank you for the support, Mark. I appreciate it. From Cody, for the Titans, sign Eric Flowers, cut Taylor Lewan, trade for Tyler Lockett. Thoughts? Once we get past June 1st, a trade of Tyler Lockett does become more palatable. I don't like the idea of cutting Taylor Lewan. Who's my left tackle? I would go sign Eric Flowers, plug him in there at left guard. I'm down. I don't have a left tackle if I cut Lewan. So the other two, sure. I doubt you can get Lockett right now, though. But I think Flowers would be a good signing by Tennessee. I really, really like that idea, Cody. For live shows, NFL news, rumors, and more, all season and off-season long, you've come to the right spot. Hit that big red button and subscribe at youtube.com/chatsportstv. From Speezy32, who has the better situation, Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett? It's a good question. I think both are in pretty decent landing spots. Both teams have good stability right now with their head coach and with their front office. Now, interestingly enough, both OCs are the play callers are not the head coaches. I think I lean Pittsburgh just because historically is one of the best run organizations in the NFL, but that's like 1A, 1B in terms of the quarterback landing spot. So it's a good question. I think I go Steelers, but it's a true toss-up for me. James Heiner, do you think Seattle will pick one of the top QBs, Young, Stroud, Rattler, in 2020? They didn't draft one this year. Probably. Now, this assumes that Seattle's drafting early this upcoming year, but I do think you're on to some of those top QBs in terms of like who's going to make the biggest impact there. Young, Stroud are probably the top 2 guys in this year's class. In the way too early version, since we did put Rattler in it in the way too early one last year, and that was a disaster. All right, Travis Baker, what teams are fits for Donta Hightower? Lots of them. I think any team that runs a variation of that Patriot-style defense, right? Including the Patriots themselves. I know producer Jack desperately wants him to return to New England. Tennessee didn't really add any linebackers. It's out of a late-round pick from Chance Campbell. Hightower could be a fun fit there. Miami's not in desperate need of any linebackers either after they drafted Channing Tindall, but I feel like Hightower's a better version of a Landon Roberts, so, like, bring him in. Denver didn't do much at inside linebacker. The Ravens could have some fun on that standpoint, too. Hightower being unsigned is interesting. I don't think he's as well regarded as he once was, but he can still help your football team. So when it comes to Donta Hightower, one of the more under-the-radar linebackers who are in free agency, where do you think he ends up signing? Make your prediction for me right now in the comments section. Tristan Stroud, will the Chiefs get any more receivers after the draft? I kind of don't think so. They drafted Sky Moore. They brought back Josh Gordon. They got a 5th-round pick from Cornell Powell last year. Juju, Miko Hardman, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They go right now almost 15 deep at receiver. Actually, they do go 15 deep at receiver. I don't think they're going to add anybody else right now. Sean, the RC mechanic. 2 questions for you. You're double dipping, you cheater. Who gets a starting job in Atlanta, Ritter or Mariota? I think Mariota starts week 1. Ritter's starting by week 18. And should the Falcons acquire Julio and Debo? You're sure if you want. I doubt you give up. You should not give up the draft capital to get Debo Samuel because you might be bad next year. So I'm not going to go get Debo because I need my 1st-round pick. Julio Jones? Sure. Why not? As long as that bridge has not been burned. Jason, and I'm surprised Jerry Hughes is still a free agent. He kind of falls into the older pass rusher category, and historically speaking, those guys tend not to get signed that quickly. So I'm not that shocked by it. I do think he'll sign at some point in the near future, at least before the preseason. From Oh My Lord, who will be the first quarterback drafted next? I assume you mean year. It is way too early, and we will do some way too early mock drafts. It would be an early 2-team race, I think. 2-player race. Bryce Young, the Alabama quarterback, and C.J. Stroud, the Ohio State QB. Hey, maybe Spencer Rattler actually is decent under pressure next year, but these are the early favorites in what appears to be a better class than what we had this year. I say appears to be because there's an entire year of college football to be played. Changes happen. It's not by any means a locked and loaded thing. Who do you think goes first of these two? BY for Bryce Young or CJ for CJ Stroud? From Pablo, who had the best draft? The ones that I liked the most, the Baltimore Ravens, I thought crushed it this year. I thought Philadelphia did a fantastic job as well. And I also thought that the Chiefs did. Those 3 teams in particular, amongst several others, all did a really good job. The pass master. I'm hoping Lewis Cine ends up being a Brian Dawkins type player. So Harris Smith can be the one looking in the box because he's not as fast as he once was. What's your take? Thanks, Chat Sports. I would not put Brian Dawkins' name alongside of Lewis Cine, in large part because Dawkins is one of the best safeties in NFL history, and I don't want to set up unrealistic expectations for the 32nd overall pick. I do like Lewis Cine. My athletic comp was Justin Reed of the Texans. If you get that out of him, I think you'll be very pleased with the draft selection. Question for you guys now. Who is the best NFL free agent left? I needed that water in there. That was important. Best NFL free agent left. I'll get some shout-outs here as I went a little too quick on that standpoint there. Let's say I got Jadeveon Clowney, Odell Beckham, Julio Jones, Eric Flowers, a punter, Pat O'Donnell from Bailey. Wow. If you check one of the other ones, I thought I fixed it, Jack, just FYI. Jarvis Landry, Anthony Barr, Will Fuller, Julio Jones, and Ndamukong Suh. Oh, you meant play style. Well, sure, that's fine. Play style. Pass message back on that one. Yeah, when I see the big time names, I just get a little spooky there. Kyle Van Noy, Jarvis Landry is still available, my friend. Odell, Van Noy, Akeem Hicks, Van Noy again, Odell Beckham, and we got a Tim Tebow in there. You guys are having too much fun. Jimmy G's not a free agent there, Kevin. That's a trade candidate on that front. Jarvis Landry, 2 Jarvis Landrys there from Michael and Tyler. Jarvis for $20 million. Yeah, we'll talk about Jarvis for $20 million a year. It was a little bit crazy on that standpoint there. More Jarvis Landrys in. Oh, we got a Chad Johnson, a.k.a. Ocho Cinco. I like that one. After today's live show wraps up, we will stay live only on Rumble. We are on that stream right now as well. I'll make sure that link gets put in the comment section and in the description for you guys. NFL Daily After Hours is going to be available only on Rumble. It's going to be a breakdown of the Mel Kiper draft grades. Spoiler alert, Mel went full coward for me on this one. So again, rumble.com/NFL Daily. Mel Kiper draft grades coming up after the live show ends. NFL Daily is presented by Manscaped. And with the 2022 NFL Draft over, we're going to break down the top free agents left. And I want to give a big thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring so much of our draft coverage this year. You can check them out at manscaped.com/chat. 20% off and free shipping when you use that URL. We will go 1 to 25, and we're filming this on Monday night. It'll be available on demand Tuesday morning. So if somebody signs in between, I blame producer Jack. Number 1, Jadeveon Clowney. For me, he is the best free agent left, which is, we've said that a lot over the years because he never signs early. It's classic of him. I guess he just doesn't really want to work out, which is a little bit frustrating, I think, for some teams. I would not rule out a return to Cleveland. Number 2, Odell Beckham Jr. Imagine telling someone 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, hey, Clowney and Beckham were both unsigned in May. You would have went, what? You guys are awesome. Now, Beckham has some injury red flags here that I'm sure we all know by now. He was really good with the Rams. He was balling out, especially in the playoffs, and then tears his ACL in the Super Bowl, and that really did negatively impact him. It's a huge reason why he remains unsigned. And when it comes to Odell Beckham, whatever team you're a fan of, would you sign him? Type in OBJ for yes and no BJ for no. Have some fun on today's show, powered by Manscaped. OBJ for yes, no BJ for no. Number 3, J.C. Tretter, the center formerly of the Cleveland Browns. There's been some buzz that Tretter has some medical issues, that hasn't been practicing that much, and also the negative stuff that comes with being the NFL player president for the union. He's still a good footballer. Out there on the field, he was playing well. So if you're a team that needs a center, looking at you, Miami Dolphins, I'd go get J.C. Tretter in an instant. Julio Jones, number 4 on this list, the former Falcon and Titan receiver. To be blunt, he's not the guy he was in his prime. Julio Jones' last 2 years combined are about as bad as any 1 year he had before that. He is not the same player that he was when he was balling out for the Atlanta Falcons. Is there anything left in the tank? Maybe, and there's a good way to find out if you sign him, low guaranteed, and see what he's got left. But with all those injuries he's suffered over the years, I do think they've begun to add up for him. A 2-part ask on this question now. Number 1 is to shout out your favorite team, and in that same comment, name a player who you want them to go sign. This will be the pinned comment, the pinned question on today's show. So if the ad break comes here on YouTube, head down there and let me know your favorite team and who you want them to sign. All right, let's get now to the outside the top 4. This is a much more muddled group. Darrell Williams, the offensive lineman, tackle guard, still a decent player. After you get out to the big 4, it's pick the order of whatever order you want. It's a little bit narrow from that standpoint. Number 6, Melvin Ingram, the edge rusher. He is not, again, he fits the archetype of guys who are available in May, right? They're typically older, typically got some injury history, and they're not what they were at their best. He can still be a number 3 pass rusher for you. Gronk might be higher if I didn't think it was either retirement or Tampa for Gronkowski. I don't think he's going to go play for a team like the Titans. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think Gronk's either going to stick around with Brady or call it a career and go just pound beers all night long and have some fun because Gronk's awesome like that. NFL Daily is presented by Manscaped. Earlier today, we asked you OBJ or no OBJ. If you're trying to avoid the no OBJ scenarios in your own personal life, you should really be using Manscaped. 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com/chat. chat. That link will be in the comment section, and it'll be in the description for you guys. The deal works not just for the Ultra Premium package, but for everything on the Manscaped site, including the Lawnmower 4.0 and the most comfortable boxers known to mankind. Manscaped.com/chat. That link is in the comment section, and it'll be in the description so you can get their awesome deals today. Another lineman here, number 8, Dwayne Brown, formerly of the Seahawks. He's getting up there in age. Now, Brown can still start for you, but we do know how ageist the NFL is. Coming off a down year, he's turning 37 before the season begins. That is a colossally old player for a tackle, let alone who's playing so well. Like, I don't want to mean to be a negative, but that's kind of crazy in a good way for Dwayne Brown. Someone should sign him. Seattle drafted a tackle. Carolina took a tackle. Those were two of the most logical landing spots for me. Number 9, Trey Flowers of the Detroit Lions, who maybe should just go back to New England, as all former Bill Belichick players who get paid and leave inevitably end up going back to New England to reunite with Bill and maybe cashing in again. Production is dipped as of late, but he can still be a nice run-stopping rotational defensive end for you. Who do you think is the best NFL free agent left? Is it Julio Jones, Clowney, OBJ, Tretter, somebody else altogether? I want you guys to drop a name for me in the comments section. Number 10, Anthony Barr, the linebacker of the Vikings, formerly of the Vikings, I should say, excuse me. Injuries have added up there. He can still be kind of maybe more of a number 3 or 4 linebacker for you. Speaking of linebackers, Kyle Van Noy is number 11 on our list. I like Barr more. Van Noy does bring you a little bit more blitzing ability. He's kind of bounced back and forth all around with various Bill Belichick disciples and, of course, Belichick himself as a coach. As NFL players get signed with the compensation pick impact period over, players who sign right now will not count against the comp pick formula. We'll keep you guys updated. So if you want free NFL news and rumors and more all off season, subscribe right now at youtube.com/chatsportstv. Eric Fisher, number 12, the former offensive tackle for the Colts. I think he'll start at left tackle for you. One of the more surprising names to be unsigned. Makes me wonder if there's more going on here than what I realized. Another aging run stopper, Akeem Hicks. 3-4 schemes are where he's at his best. I think somebody will pick him up. I might like the Vikings fit in particular for Akeem Hicks. Melvin Ingram was earlier. Now it's Justin Houston. Similar players on the back nine of their NFL careers. Edge rushers who are really more number 3 guys, and their lack of special teams values, which is the case for a lot of these players, makes it trickier. Like, they're all top 4 or 5 edges, but you only want your team's 4th or 5th edge to be a key special teams player for you. Houston, it's not really what he is. Jarvis Landry now, number 15 overall, the first receiver since his good buddy OBJ. Landry's been like teams like the Browns. Allegedly, he wanted $20 million a year. Laughable to think he was going to get $20 million. He was not going to command, I don't think, half of that. Frankly, I think a 1-year, $5 million deal for Landry is about the right value. Maybe he gets more. After all, Tyrann Mathieu got more than what I thought he was going to get from the New Orleans Saints. What is the most you would pay Jarvis Landry per year? Let me know in the comments. I'm at about 5. You can talk me into a little bit more than that, but I'm not overpaying for a slot receiver here. So let me know. Most you would pay Jarvis Landry per year. Donta Hightower, next up here, the linebacker. I like Hightower quite a bit. I think he's a good football player who can contribute for you as a key cog in your offense or defense. Offers you some run, some coverage, some run stopping, and some blitzing. But he's not the same guy he was in his prime. Neither is number 17, Joe Hayden. He's not a number 1 corner anymore. But given how badly teams are always in need of cornerback help, I am surprised that nobody has signed Joe Hayden. Maybe he's going to play the wait for an injury and cash in that style. But we also saw Patrick Peterson not command the money I thought he was going to get several years in a row now. Hayden is my number 1 outside corner left. Here's my number 1 nickel, Bryce Callahan. last of the Denver Broncos. He's a good nickel. Now, there have been some injury issues in recent years, but I think Hightower, Hayden, Callahan can start for you. And although the NFL is not as high on them, I'd pick them up right now. Here's Jerry Hughes, another veteran rotational edge. He's not a sack machine, but he does consistently get pressure, and I thought has been one of the more underrated pass rushers in the NFL for quite a while. Who is the most underrated free agent left? Maybe it's a guy like Jerry Hughes. Maybe it's someone that I'm not even mentioning on today's video. Sound off for me in the comments right now. Here's a throwback name who's been around the league forever, Ndamukong Suh. He continues and continues and continues to play at a shockingly high level for someone who, folks, this might sound crazy, he is 35 years old. Doesn't feel like Suh's 35, but he is. He's just been so good for so long in the NFL. Another receiver, Emmanuel Sanders, who I've argued has been one of the more underrated guys in the NFL for 5, 6, 7, 8 years now. Sanders is beginning to decline. There's a reason the Bills went elsewhere. But if you want a quarterback-friendly wideout, I think Sanders is that player. Now, a more high-variance receiver is Will Fuller. When he's out there, he's an awesome vertical threat. Here's your problem. He's not always out there because he's got hamstrings, in the word of intern Jeremy, hamstrings made of cotton candy because he just can't stay healthy. But the 5 games he plays, he might go off for you. Nick Foles, our first and only quarterback on this list, recently released by the Chicago Bears. They tried and tried and tried to find a taker in a trade. Nobody wanted him. He can be a backup QB for you. I would not pay him more than the vet minimum, but big Nick Foles, you know which word I left out, winky face, can still help a team. Mike Davis, number 24 on this list, recently cut by the Atlanta Falcons, actually on Monday to be exact there. He was better with the Panthers in 2020, but didn't look like quite the same runner. Maybe he was a little bit of a one-year wonder. And finally, and y'all know what's coming next, Antonio Brown on the list here, who is just one of the most talented and one of the most troubled receivers. So time for one of my favorite weigh-ins here at Chat Sports. Yeah, we're double dipping with the OBJ and the AB one. Would you sign AB? AB for yes, FAB for no. Get some shout-outs here as I sip some water as well. Do you want AB on the Patriots there, Jack? No, you don't. Didn't think so. Wait, they already tried that, of course. Dusty, Jeremy says AB. Sports Hawk says AB for $20 million. No way. Not even get rid of the zero. You guys are wilding out there. FAB from Juan Hernandez. FAB from Bobby Hicks. FABB from Juan. AB to Nola from Nola Dynasty. AB to the Bears from me and Mitchell. If you could promise me Antonio Brown wouldn't be a head case for you, I'd be all for it. My concern is that he's not always going to be a head case for you. I don't trust him in any capacity on that front. There is some news, as we'll do this first here. Use hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get your questions on the show. I'll just mention this, not going to be part of a cut here. We mentioned early that the Chiefs were in the market for Lonnie Johnson. That trade has gone down, has been announced by the Chiefs as well, by the way. Lonnie Johnson, the former second-round pick from the Texans to KC in exchange for a conditional 7th-round draft pick. So the Texans are dumping Lonnie Johnson, getting a maybe draft pick in exchange. After today's live show wraps up here following this mailbag, we're going to stay live on Rumble only for NFL Daily After Hours. I'll put that link in the live chat for you guys again. Make sure you get over there before the live show wraps up. All 1,168 of you in the live chat right now. Rumble only NFL Daily After Hours, breaking down Mel Kiper's, I'm going to call cowardice NFL draft grade, so make sure you stick around for that segment. You guys are watching NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey, and we're breaking down our mailbag on today's show, answering all of your questions as they come in here live on Monday. Super chat to begin from Kyle Donovan. Thoughts on my Jags draft? I'm still not sold yet. I didn't love their draft. I thought it wasn't a disaster, but it wasn't that great. Honestly, not the best year to have the number 1 overall pick. Like, you just kind of weren't going to get the best value there. I love the 2 linebacker picks of Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma individually. Combined, I was a little confused by it because you signed Foye Oluokun to a big-time deal. So, screaming value for Chad Muma. I would have looked at another receiver to help out your QB. To go defense on 3 of your first 4 picks and have your offensive picks be a guard and a running back, a backup one, I didn't love it, but I think you're banking on the upside of Trayvon Walker. I think you got 3 starters, by the way. Maybe not this year, but at least next year, in Luke Fortner, Devin Lloyd, and Chad Muma. From Mark, what rookies from Dallas will be serious difference makers in year 1? Hopefully your offensive lineman Tyler Smith, D wants to go by D Williams as an edge rusher, and maybe Jalen Tolbert. Down the road, a lot of upside with Damone Clark and Matt Bledsoe in particular. How would you rank JJ as an owner 1 to 32? We don't trade for value for our guys too much. Stephen Jones has been the one doing that as of late, so I'd have no faith in Stephen Jones, to be honest. Probably not dead last like Dan Snyder exists still, but not much faith there. Zach Taylor, you forgot Earl Thomas. Yeah, I did not forget Earl Thomas on our top free agents list. He's not any. Yeah, I don't think he's going to play again. From Sammy Silver, OBJ to the Saints, or are we broke again after the Mathieu signing? The Saints are never broke. They operate with a money printing press when it comes to the salary cap there. I don't think OBJ goes to New Orleans. I think the drafting of Chris Olave to pair with Michael Thomas, what they want to do on offense. But if he's cheap, never rule it out. If he doesn't go back to the Rams, the Saints probably are a very logical destination. From all my friends, draft is over. Where does Baker Mayfield end up? Your guess is as good as mine. As the draft went on, or pre-draft I should say, 5 teams have been the most linked. Houston as a sleeper. Pittsburgh if he were cut. Carolina, Seattle as trade partners, and the Falcons maybe a sleeper too. But Pittsburgh took Kenny Pickett, crossed them off the list. Falcons added Desmond Ridder, crossed them off it. Carolina took Matt Corral, but they had trade talks, so I'm not going to totally rule out Carolina. I think Seattle in the end is where he ends up, but that's just a guess on a gut feeling. I don't have a great feel in the end. What do you think? Curious what you guys have to say. Where will Baker Mayfield play in 2022? Make your predictions for me in the comments section. From Why Big Jordan, why do Panthers fans keep pushing bum veteran QBs on us? Non-Panthers fans. Sorry, I misread that first part. Because you have a bum at QB in Sam Darnold. So, you're the landing spot of, well, this team doesn't want their QB anymore. Are they an upgrade over Sam Darnold? Isn't that high of a bar to clear? I do understand your frustration because they can't quite get the QB spot figured out, but any team that doesn't want their QB, Carolina's like the number 1 spot, them in Seattle, because they don't have a franchise guy. From Juan Espinoza, what free agents should the Bears sign? How about one of those receivers? Or maybe an offensive line. Ooh, how about Dwayne Brown? How about Dwayne Brown to the Bears? Because they need to get some more help for Justin Fields in what is going to be a rebuilding year this year for Chicago. NFL Daily is also on Rumble. Get uncensored videos, including some NFL Daily after-hours coverage as well, all for free. Help us dominate that video platform at rumble.com/NFL Daily. Tariq Johnson, Donta Hightower to the Steelers. I'm all for it. I think that'd be a fun idea, adding some blitzing linebacker help and given the uncertainty around Devin Bush. I think it would make a ton of sense for Pittsburgh. From Jacob McIntosh, over-under on the Jets' wins this year. Let me check the NFL over-under win totals here and get you the actual Vegas odds, and I'll make my prediction there. Over-under win totals for the New York Jets. Let's see. 5.5, which is up, by the way, from 4 previously. I think they could get to 6. I might take the over on the Jets' wins there. From John Kruger. I'm going to yell, Jack, if you want to take your, yeah, there you go. Hey, don't bash Spencer Rattler. He is going to ball out for us in South Carolina. I'm bashing what he did last year. It wasn't good for Oklahoma. That's why he transferred and got benched. So it was more of we thought Rattler could have a big-time breakout year, and then he unfortunately regressed. So hoping he balls out for the Gamecocks. Trust me on that one, John. From Robert, I'm going to do the thing again. What do the Raiders do next? I'm thinking Darrell Williams and trade for Bradbury. I don't think they're going to trade for Bradbury in large part. How many corners does one team need? They've added a lot of talent there between Rocky Sin, Trayvon Mullen, Anthony Averett. They got nickel guys, Nate Hobbs, Mick Robinson. I don't think corners are need for them. They did add Dylan Parham as a guard option. I would like a right tackle. You play Parham at center maybe instead of guard. Alex Leatherwood's your right guard, and then find me a new right tackle because I don't like Brandon Parker at all. We here at Chat Sports have you guys covered every single day with all the latest NFL news and rumors as they happen. So if you want to stay updated, be the smartest of your friend group with the NFL coverage, subscribe to Chat Sports, youtube.com/ChatSportsTV. Robbie Grusik, or Gruski, I'm getting that wrong. I'm sorry, Robbie. I know I got it right before. Who do you think will be Rookie of the Year? I think Drake London was the betting favorite, at least after round one. I could see Breece Hall getting a pretty good workload. If Rashad Penny gets his inevitable hamstring issue, I think Kenneth Walker could be a good fit there. And maybe the Saints give Chris Olave quite a bit of work. Might be the route I pursue on that front. But I think London was the early betting favorite. From the past master, Tom, strip away the rings. Who's the better receiver, Jerry Rice or Chris Carter? Both, of course, are Hall of Famers. The answer is still Jerry Rice. Not a ding against Chris Carter, but go peep Rice's production. The guy had like 2 Hall of Fame careers. It's insane. DCX Viper, who are your top prospects for the 2023 NFL Draft? I won't go too far in depth. We will eventually do a way too early 2023 class. Jackson Smith in no order. Jackson Smith in Jigba, the next great Ohio State wide receiver. Michael Mayer, tight end from Notre Dame. Clemson's got some good defensive ends. C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Jalen Carter from Georgia, and the number one guy right now, that is Will Anderson, the edge rusher out of Alabama. He would have been the consensus number one pick this year had he been draft eligible. Greenback, 25. I heard Andy Isabella and N'Keal Harry on the trade block. Who could get them? Literally anyone that wants them. Those two players, Arizona State's and then UMass, of course, now with the Patriots and the Cardinals, have not been good football players. They have been busts at this stage. So teams that need a receiver at some level, the Falcons, the Ravens, the Titans, the Vikings, the Packers, yes, still Green Bay, as far as I'm concerned. They could offer a conditional 7th-round pick, and I think the Cardinals and Patriots say, yes, let's do it, and they accept that trade then and there. They might just end up getting cut, by the way. I want you to now name a player who you want to trade for. Could be any player, any team. Try to keep it somewhat realistic. Let me know in the comments. From Matt Productions, do you think Rachaad White will do well with the Bucs? Hopefully better than their last draft pick for Tampa at running back. Sean Vaughn, he's been a colossal bust. White's a big play machine. I think he'll slot into the Ronald Jones role. Once he gets some space, he's basically gone. He has to work on his vision a little bit for me. From Bailey, ideal Deebo Samuel destinations. I guess Green Bay at this point. Still, I don't think Deebo's going to get dealt. I would be pretty surprised if that went down. I think the Jets and Lions, who had made offers for Deebo, I think them getting receivers in the top 15 was a pretty good sign that they don't think the Niners are going to trade him away. From Brock Lesnar, a key mix of the Chargers. Not a bad idea. They have thrown quite a bit of capital at that interior defensive line already. Remember, they signed this offseason Austin Johnson. I think that was, this offseason. Sebastian Joseph Day. They drafted Otito Obonya out of UCLA in the 5th round. So I like the fit. I'm not sure they're going to invest at that level, though. From Cody, another Titans question from him here today. Sign Cole Beasley or Emmanuel Sanders. I would like to get one of those guys. I would probably lean Emmanuel Sanders because I can play either Sanders or Burks in the slot. I think Kyle Phillips, he is a slot receiver too. So I've got guys that can handle that role already with Burks and Phillips. Maybe Burks is your year one slot guy. Next you move him outside and put Phillips in there. Sanders can play outside. A Sanders-Wood-Burks receiving core as your big three makes me feel better about trading away A.J. Brown, but not perfect about doing so. From Ball is Life, so are the Giants keeping Saquon Barkley or trading him? At this point, I think they're going to trade him. They're not going to trade him. I misspoke there. He has not lived up to the hype, and he has a $7.22 million contract. Who wants to invest in that? The Bills spent a premium pick on James Cook. They're not going to go that route there. So I think Saquon Barkley isn't going anywhere this offseason. I think he'll play this year for the Giants and then maybe give them a comp pick next year in free agency. One of our favorite questions here at Chat Sports. We'd love to know our audience. Who is your favorite team? Let me know in the comments by dropping your favorite team in the comments section. From the past master, what's Juju going to be like in Kansas City? Hopefully closer to early career Juju Smith-Schuster than some of the recent career in Juju. So he's been inconsistent, injury-prone the past 2 years. He has a much better QB than he's dealt with the last couple seasons with, to be blunt, a rather washed-up Big Ben. From Mark Jones, will Derrick Henry break the all-time record this year? He was on pace to break it before the fracture. I assume you mean the single-season rushing mark. He very well might. I mean, that team is not afraid to give him the football over and over and over again. So if he can stay healthy, that is certainly a record he has a shot of breaking. It is not easy to be broken, however. Patrick Hoffman, which receiver do you think EDC will sign or trade for before week one? That's Eric DeCosta, by the way, the Ravens GM. The core looks slim. Yeah, I agree. I think it is very slim on that standpoint there. I think you're looking at Julio Jones, T.Y. Hilton. There are a lot of good free agent receivers that team could go pursue. I would go get one ASAP because I agree. That is the one thing that team really is lacking in terms of glaring needs on their roster once they eventually get healthy again. The super chat from Mark. Did Tampa improve enough to win a Super Bowl this year? I mean, they were a Super Bowl winner, and they were busted coverage away from being super close. Now, it's the first year for head coach Todd Bowles, so at least with Tampa. Of course, he's been head coach before. You don't want to assume he ends up being the guy for them long term, or as good as Bruce Arians. But they're going to be a contender again. In a down NFC, they should absolutely be viewed as one of, if not the, betting favorite. The pin poll of the day. Grade the signing of Tyrann Mathieu to the Saints. A, B, C, D, or F. 46% right now are saying A. 38% say B. 10% are saying C. 6% say D or F. That is going to do it for us live on YouTube and Facebook, but we will still be live on Rumble only. I'm putting that link in the live chat right now as we sit. So get over to Rumble. If you're on Rumble, type me. I see Devin Booker. I see you in there in the live chat right now, along with a couple other people in there. Get over to Rumble only. We're going to end the stream here on Facebook. We're going to end the stream on YouTube. We're not going to move forward. NFL Daily After Hours is going to be on Rumble only. You guys got to get over there if you want to be a part of the show. And Chase is going to love this. We're one like away from 269. We're one away. Can we get it? We're one like away. I have complete faith. Oh, we got it. We did it. We did it. There we go. Give me the standing ovation again, you jerks out there. Oh, we also blew right by it after I mentioned it there. So get over to Rumble only. It's rumble.com/NFL Daily. The live link is in the comment section right now. We're going to end the stream on YouTube here in about 10 seconds. So get over there. NFL Daily After Hours. Mel Kiper's cowardly draft grade reaction coming up here. I'll count you down, Jack, to kill it. So you guys have 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. No more YouTube, no more Facebook. Rumble only here from here on out.